pick up their first Big East win and hit the road to West Virginia, and will meet the man they call Zeus. All that coming up on the Robert McCullum Show. Welcome back to another edition of the Robert McCullum Show. I'm Jim Lighthall, along with the head coach, Robert McCullum himself, and another big week of USF basketball. So Bulls get back into the win column in the Big East. And, Coach, when you talk about mid-January, you talk about tooth-and-nail fighting league play. You do, and there's nothing better or nothing more special than conference play. It brings out the best in you and sometimes the worst in you. But as we've stated on a number of occasions, teams tend sometimes to play a little closer to the vest, and that's why you see so many upsets. That and the familiarity. Teams are far more familiar with each other. You throw in the rivalry, that impact, and you get a lot of interesting games in conference play. Hey, I want to give it up to the fans right here at the top of the show. Their performance against Cincinnati the other night, just a sensational effort by them, made it a real difficult environment for the Bearcats there at the Dome. Absolutely, and there's certainly should be commended for that, and that's what how a home court crowd should be. There should be some advantage to the home team, home court, and oftentimes, more often than not, that advantage comes from the fans. It's interesting, this was Student Fan Week throughout the country, and that started last night with some key conference matchups, Kansas, Missouri. Long been a heated rivalry, and it didn't have to be a rivalry, a conference game for the KU fans to get going. But I was really happy the way our crowd came out, and our students in particular had a lot to do with that. Well, it was a fun atmosphere there at the Sun Dome. We're going to take a look at the highlights, both the Cincinnati and West Virginia games coming up on today's show.
When it's time to cool off the competition, the USF Bulls rely on CGM Services air conditioning and heating. Call CGM Services today and ask about the Carrier Infinity System, the world's best air conditioning system. The Infinity System takes indoor comfort to a new performance level. So when you want quality service and long-lasting Carrier products, be cool like a bull and turn to the experts. Call Mike Charles or another CGM teammate at 813-AIR-COOL. CGM Services, proud sponsor of USF Athletics.
Hello? It's for you.
And run with the USF Bulls to the Louisville basketball game. Enter to win at any Canes Furniture location, and you could win a trip for two to the USF Bulls road game at Louisville. Airfare for two, hotel and transportation are included. Plus, you'll get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich coupon just for entering at Canes. The Bulls are back on court, so don't miss a single dribble, drive, dunk, or dish. Visit any Canes Furniture store today and enter free to win. Best quality, best prices, Canes.
The Robert McCullum Show is presented by Canes and Save On Furniture and brought to you in part by CGM Services, Singular Wireless, Coca-Cola, Dodge, Kirby's Menswear, Likes Insurance, and by the St. Petersburg Times.
All right, Coach, the Singular Wireless fan question of the week is from Jamie in Tampa this week. Wants to know how satisfying it is to pick up your first Big East Conference win this season.
It was extremely gratifying. You obviously want to pick that win up as early as possible, and we didn't get it the first game, nor the second, nor the third, and fortunately it came in the fourth, and a lot earlier than last year. And I'm extremely happy and proud of our players, and more than anything, and the effort that they put forth. especially after bouncing back from a disappointing performance at Louisville, and the confidence they gained from the way they played and their win, I think it's just going to help us so much down the road.
Okay, Coach, so two teams that know each other very well hooked up at the Sun Dome on Sunday afternoon. We're talking about USF and Cincinnati in front of nearly 5,000 fans. And these teams have been battling each other since they were way back in the Conference USA days together before they jumped to the Big East. So let's take a look at the highlights. And, Coach, you really jumped on Cincinnati here from the very beginning. Some good pump fake, three-point shooting from Solomon Bozeman, and the freshman got off to a good start.
Well, he really did, and we started him at the off-guard position, and we're happy to see him knock down a shot early in the game.
Well, right there throwing the alley-oop to McCullum. And it seemed to me with the two-guard format there, Chris Howard playing and Solomon Bozeman, it just gave you a lot more playmaking ability.
And that was our goal, to try and find a way that we could improve our ball handling and our decision-making, and it certainly got us off to a good start.
Well, there's another three by Solomon Bozeman to put you up 4 in the early going. And I know you were concerned with Cincinnati's pressure, but it really didn't give you that much problems.
Well, it really didn't, and I think part of that, we obviously went back to work, went back to school after the Louisville game, and so I think our decision-making, we were stronger with the basketball, and again, starting 2-point guards together, I think really gave us a boost.
Well, Chris Howard with the layup there a second ago, and there's the entry pass to Kentrell Gransberry. How about Howard? 8 points and 10 assists in this one.
Well, you just couldn't ask more of him and couldn't be happier for him. That type of performance in just the second game after almost three-year layoff.
That jump shot put the Bulls up by 11, and Chris Howard's starting to get more and more comfortable, you can tell as well. And one guy that's comfortable around the basket is McCullum. He is really finishing the ball.
Well, he really is, and he's just one of the few guys that's going to benefit from Chris Howard's presence, as evidenced by some of the baskets he's making. And you get players constantly making easy baskets. More often than not, it can be attributed to the point guard.
You had an 11-point lead at the half and really stretched it out at the start of the second half. There's the first basket of the second half. Kentrell Gransberry running the break at 6'9", 270. And I know the first 5 minutes of the second half is important too.
Well, it really is, because it tends to set the tone for the remainder of the half. And so it's so important to come out and win momentum to start the half.
Well, 2 dunks, 2 very high percentage shots to open the half, and then things really got busted open at this point. I know you were feeling comfortable, especially at the defensive end, because you pushed Cincinnati out to the perimeter the entire game, and they're not a good perimeter shooting team.
Well, that was our goal, was to try and force them to settle for perimeter shots, and fortunately it worked. They attempted 33s, and it's difficult if you're not shooting real well to beat teams and rely on that heavily on the three-point shot.
Well, I remember they were 3 for 18 at one time. They put a little run together to make it interesting, but then they didn't hit another 3 after that, and the Bulls go on to win 74-59. There's the rebounding war. It's good to win that battle again for you. It's been a while since that happened, but Gransberry was just an animal in this game. 21 points, 15 rebounds. We mentioned the Howard 10 assists, and McCullum got a lot of his blocks early, really to set the tone in this one. But Coach, you get your first win in Big East play, but Gransberry was just too big and too tough for everybody underneath.
Well, he really was, and he was disappointed the way he rebounded the ball the previous 2 games, and I thought he came out and really reestablished himself. And when he's rebounded the ball that well, and McCullum, I thought rebounded it better. Overall, our decision-making was better, and it's clearly a confidence boost. And one more thing I want to point out is the ball movement. To make 24, 25 field goals and assist on 22 of them, it doesn't get much better than that.
I know you're in love with the man-to-man defense as well, but the Bulls end up playing a lot of zone. They shut down Cincinnati, and they go on to get their first win in Big East play. All right, they try to use that momentum on their trip into Morgantown, West Virginia. They'll face the Mountaineers. They're on the brink of the top 25. We've got those highlights coming up.
Dodge Caliber's versatility and great gas mileage make it perfect for a road trip. All the right features make it even better.
Now, Tampa Bay's favorite newspaper makes it easier to be in the know. More colorful, streamlined pages get you quickly to your favorite news and features, and new Sunday sections about the Bucs, the workplace, and travel, books, and the arts. It's everything you'd expect from one of America's 10 best newspapers, designed with you in mind.
In the know, in
subscribe, log on to TampaBay.com or call 1-877-THE-TIMES.
Stunning video, MP3 sound, broadband speed internet, and email. All working flawlessly together in one ultra-thin device. The new Blackjack. Only from Singular.
Welcome back. The Bulls return to the road on Wednesday night. They faced a West Virginia team that's really been in and out of the top 25 this season, and a bunch that didn't get a whole lot of respect in the preseason. But they've proved that preseason doesn't mean a whole lot. So it was the Bulls and the Mountaineers from the WVU Coliseum.
Well, Coach, things did not get off to a good start at West Virginia. Not only do you get down after a big West Virginia run 13-1, but Musaka goes down with an ankle injury.
And that just added to our problem. That's your worst nightmare on the road is falling behind early in the game, getting the crowd into the game. And fortunate for us, our guys were able to bounce back and regain their confidence, even in spite of losing a Musaka and all that he gives us. Had a chance to get it, but didn't work in distance at halftime.
Well, it was down. You guys were down 15 at one time, but then that 10-1 run midway through the first half, especially fueled by McCullum, who had an outstanding game.
Well, absolutely, he had a lot to do with that. Best game he's played, perhaps since as far back as Winston-Salem in early December, and just could not be proud of the way he fought on both ends.
You come out in the second half, you used 8-0 run. You got it down to 43-40.
We did. We could not have written it up better in terms of how we wanted to start the second half.
Kentrell Gransberry and McCullum go on a run of 14 consecutive points, and Gransberry was begging for the ball down low, and he rewarded you with a good effort offensively.
You love to see that. Unfortunately, he picked up some early fouls in the game that limited his minutes, and didn't appear to be himself in the first half. He came out and reestablished himself and had a lot to do with us cutting the lead.
Free throw shooting kind of hurt you down the stretch, and West Virginia eventually pulls away to win this one 69-58. You do a good job at the defensive end as far as percentages, 43% for them, and amazingly, they only get one three-pointer in the second half.
Well, USF has waited a year for the services of Jesus Verdejo, the transfer from the University of Arizona, and he's come right in and delivered. We'll meet him when we come back to the Robert McCullum Show.
What gets us going? Understanding the two-way street whereby your trust and our obligation to deliver will get us both to the same mutually desired point. Like's Insurance. We leave nothing to chance.
Hello? It's for you.
Dodge Caliber's versatility and great gas mileage make it perfect for a road trip. All the right features make it even better.
You want them, we got them. But we can't make things happen without you calling first. You'll see we're solutions and results oriented. Like's Insurance. We leave nothing to chance.
Welcome back, and time now in the show when we feature a member of the team. And this guy goes by the nickname Zeus around the court as well as in the locker room. Jesus Verdejo, the sophomore transfer from Arizona, has been a welcome addition to the USF roster this year.
This week's Player's Profile is brought to you by the St. Petersburg Times.
I'm so anxious just to keep playing. I don't want the season to end just because I've been sitting out for a year and a half coming from Arizona, and then last year I had to sit out 16 games, and now that I'm playing, I just want to play every game. But so far it's been great. I'm having fun playing on the court. I'm having fun playing with Coach Mack.
Sophomore guard Jesus Verdejo has had a passion for the game of basketball ever since his youth.
I've been playing basketball since I was 4 years old, and then all my life I've been a winner. I just gotta play hard every game, like it's the last. Because right now I'm in the position that I haven't played in a year and a half. When I come to play, people want to see if I'm that really Jesus Verdejo that they all talk about from the international games.
Jesus transferred from Arizona for a chance to play in the Big East Conference and an opportunity to be closer to home.
What bring me back to Florida is my family. My family is in Puerto Rico, only 2 hours away, flying. Back in Arizona, that was like a 12-hour flight. So just in case of any emergency, I'm close to my family. I got my grandfather in Orlando, my auntie in Orlando, and just the Big East Conference. I'm playing for Coach Mack. He's a great coach. You just gotta stay focused and going back to being on the Big East. Like I said before, we got a lot of exposure. If you want people to see you play, it's a place to be. And it's a great conference. You gotta be a man to play here.
A native of Puerto Rico, Jesus is bilingual in Spanish and English, and he says communicating in Spanish with teammates such as Melvin Richardson brings an advantage to the court.
I've been in the state 4 or 5 years now, so I'm just used to just speak English to everybody. But now, me and Melvin, when we get on the court, I can tell him, do this to this guy, don't do that to that guy, and he understands me. But people don't understand us, so that's a great thing for us.
Well, Coach, my Spanish isn't all that great, but I do know this thing, that this guy has a scores mentality.
Well, he really does. My Spanish is not that good either, but fortunately, in basketball language, it's international. It's worldwide. So when you start talking defense or scoring, those things tend to transcend language barriers. But as you mentioned, Jesus has a scores mentality, and sometimes that's not always easy. And as he and Contrell Gransberry became eligible around at the same time, the transition's been a little bit more difficult for him just because of the position that he plays. But yet he's a player that also needs a little bit more freedom. He's a guy just more of a scorer than a shooter, and when he gets off to a good start in games, he's kind of streaky, then we like to try and get him the basketball, feed him as much as possible, because that's usually an indication that he's going to be in for a good night. And he's given us a lot of depth on the perimeter, and with just a sophomore, we're confident that there are bigger and better things to come from Jesus.
Oh, he is very exciting, especially at the offensive end of the floor. Now, last week, in part one of the Coach's Corner, we broke down the basics of working inside out and how important that was at the offensive end. We'll go behind the scenes to a Bulls practice and watch part 2 right after this.
Hit the road and run with the USF Bulls to the Louisville basketball game. Enter to win at any Cane's Furniture location, and you could win a trip for 2 to the USF Bulls road game at Louisville. Airfare for 2, hotel and transportation are included. Plus, you'll get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich coupon just for entering at Cane's. The Bulls are back on court, so don't miss a single dribble, drive, dunk, or dish. Visit any Cane's Furniture store today and enter free to win. Best quality, best prices, Cane's.
Now, Tampa Bay's favorite newspaper makes it easier to be in the know. More colorful, streamlined pages get you quickly to your favorite news and features, and new Sunday sections about the Bucks, the workplace, and travel, books, and the arts. It's everything you'd expect from one of America's 10 best newspapers, designed with you in mind. In the know, in the time. To subscribe, log on to TampaBay.com or call 1-877-THE-TIMES.
Here's this week's Coach's Corner.
Now, the previous drill, we passed the ball inside out on the same side of the floor. Okay, this time we're going to use one of two types of pivots. We're going to use a front pivot or a reverse pivot and swing the basketball. Okay, now most times we come down the floor, we want to what? Get the ball swung, then attack. In other words, chances are the defense is already set on this side of the floor. So I'm going to use a front pivot, okay, or a reverse pivot and get the ball swung. Okay, do that. All right, pivot. All right, now hold up. Pass it back. Now you notice the ball's on one side of the floor. Jared's doing a good job. What? He's off man towards ball. He should have at least 1 foot in the paint. So on the skip, on his closeout, that's the best time to drive. Okay? So now you're going to drive his closeout. You're going to drive middle. You're going to drive and kick to Jesus. Okay? Pass it. We'll walk you through it. Close out. Oh, drive. Now, go back. Now, Jesus, man, also what? On that skip pass, Jesus, man, does what? Okay? On that skip, he gets to a spot where help him recover. Inside dribble on the closeout, drive and kick. Now, then on that drive and kick, the next part of it, when the ball was skipped, what does Melvin do? He jumps to the ball. So Buck's drive and kick, give it back to Buck. Buck drive and kick. When that's happening, kick. Bam. Post feed. Okay? All right, so that's the inside-out action. Okay? Going inside. Okay? Inside on the first side. Skip it outside. Hey, closing out. Drive. Kick. Post feed. Good. Drive it. Drive it. Good. Good job. Good job. That's good. Big. Swing it. Good. Drive. Good. That's a good job. Finish. Feet ready. Feet ready. Pivot. Drive it. Good. Kick. Got it. Good job, Zeus. Passed away. That's it. Good. Drive it. Now, we just assuming that he's going to cut you off. You're driving. You're trying to what? You're thinking about getting to the basket. Okay? If the help is not early enough, doesn't get there in time, you're gonna penetrate deeper, and then what will happen? You'll force Contrail's man to help up the floor, and then you dump it off to him. Okay? Now, what's got to happen here? We're not doing when the ball is swung back to ball side. You're thinking one pass ahead. So I'm not going to wait until, say in this case, Eddie gets the basketball. Okay? When I see Buck say ready to make that pass, I'm already stepping into the lane, shaping up ahead of time. Okay? Trying to get the jump on my defender.
All right, Coach, as we take a look at that, I know it's so important that you and your staff preach to be active away from the ball. Make yourself tough to defend and let those big guys kick it out.
Well, inside out is just great action. You get the defense moving and just swing the ball, then attack, and that's just one of the most basic forms of a half-court basketball, and those are great lessons for young basketball players. Basketball players at any level, and regardless of the level of play, those are lessons that'll work at any level. Swinging the basketball, driving the ball, making the ball occupy two people, and then creating a one-on-one situation inside, back on the weak side. So it requires patience, but more often than not, when you see teams that are good on the half court, those are some of the things they do real well.
And they'll put that to work this week because there's no rest for the green and gold. They're right back to work coming up with a road game at Notre Dame and then back at the Sun Dome against Rutgers. We'll preview those two opponents when we come back to the Robert McCullum Show.
These babies were born less than a year ago. Already more than $500 million have been raised for their education. And when they start school, it will be over $5 billion. What makes them so special? They live in Florida, where profits from the Florida lottery have helped fund education with over $16 billion since 1988. Aren't they lucky? When you play, we all win.
Dodge Caliber's versatility and great gas mileage Make it perfect for a road trip. All the right features make it even better.
Hello? It's for you.
The Robert McCullum Show has been presented by Canes and Save On Furniture and brought to you in part by CGM Services, Singular Wireless, Coca-Cola, Dodge, Kirby's Menswear, Likes Insurance, and by the St. Petersburg Times.
Well, there's another look at the Big East standings, and good to see the Bulls are in the win column in the Big East as they pack up and take off for South Bend, Indiana, and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
The Scouting Report is brought to you by Dodge.
All right, Coach, how about the Irish? Tell me what to expect.
Well, Mike Bray's done an outstanding job with his team, and they're one of the, in my opinion, two most surprising teams of the league in terms of the personnel losses they suffered last year and where they were picked in the preseason. And they're been in and around the top 25 since the second, third week of the season. A number of outstanding non-conference wins over the likes of Maryland, Alabama. They've also defeated West Virginia. And they have outstanding perimeter players. The young guys who didn't play much last year have really stepped up, and they're really getting it done on the offensive end. With the exception of a tough loss at Georgetown, they're playing as well as anyone in the conference.
Well, they're always tough at the Joyce Center, and again, that game will be on Sunday afternoon. After that, you entertain Rutgers at the Dome.
We do, and Rutgers is a team that's sort of trying to find go-to guys, if you will, after losing their all-conference and first-round draft pick in Quincy Doobie, and that's quite a talent to replace, and hopefully we're catching them at the right time as well.
Well, Coach, best of luck in those two games, and best of luck as you try and add more in that win column.
Well, you're absolutely right. And every week, every game's a challenge, but yet each time you get a win, your players become more and more confident. And each game that Chris Howard plays, we're just going to get better and better. And the other players, that's an easy transition for them. When guys are going to get you to basketball as well as the leadership and direction that he provides, it's just going to help us become more and more competitive.
All right, we'll talk about those two games next week right here on the Robert McCullum Show.